Good afternoon, everyone out there, and hope you're all having a good Monday. I am Flintworth, here to welcome you to another Warrior Workshop, a show where we go and brainstorm various wacky character builds based on our more outlandish favorite characters from pop culture. And today, we are talking about one of my favorite protagonists, crazed out mad dogs from last year. If you clicked on the thumbnail, you know that, of course, I'm talking about Chainsaw Man, Denji, to be particular. Denji, the lovable, we should even call him a slacker, is a unique brand of character. Little background for those who ever watched the anime. Denji is the son of a guy who collected a lot of debt through the Yakuza. He's to such a point that his father offed himself off, leaving Denji to go and deal with all of the backlog debt that his dad left behind. Needless to say, it put Denji in a very rough place for most of his young adult life, to such an extent that by the time we meet him in the first episode, he has sold one of his eyes, one of his kidneys, one of his nuts, and much, much more than that. It is, he's in dire straits. Fortunately for him, he has taken up the profession as, a demon hunter for the Yakuza, because in this world, devils and demons alike do exist. They are crawly, they are nasty, and typically based on the fears of humans. And, hey, the Ant. yes, my biggest FNAF fanatic. Yes, indeed, FNAF, Five Nights at Freddy's, is in fact a game, which we're not talking about today. Where was I? Yes. And heard and sold a nut. Yep, that's what you get for walking in on a stream willy-nilly. But yeah, long story short, because I don't want to talk too much about the show, because it really is something you need to go and see to enjoy and appreciate, is, how to say, a wild, wild ride. And I actually might have to take a very, very brief very brief break, because speaking of dogs, I think my dog needs to go outside to use the bathroom. So with that little teaser, I'll be right back. come here, come here. This is what we agreed. You made me go and stop stream in the middle of like my intro. You have to be on camera now. Hi. Thank you for your patience there. So as I was saying, Denji started the show, dire place. Well, fortunately for him, after a series of random events, he finds himself, free of the Yakuza, but more importantly, infused with the Chainsaw Devil, making him the titular Chainsaw Man. Now, why did I bring this all up before we actually get to the actual character creation? Well, simple, really. See, Denji, because of how his whole early life began, often has made him a guy who really didn't give himself much chances to dream, to live, making his newfound power and chance at life kind of like a new start, but a little bit more than that. He's, in many ways, like a dog suddenly becoming with sentience, and much like his counterpart, Power, who we spoke about last time on this show, who was more like a cat. It is kind of made, in many ways, symbolically, that Denji a lot like a dog. Yes, Tifa, yes. That is your ear you're smelling on screen. Well, and I think, which is why, though, when it comes to, oh, this is a bad idea, I should put it away. Okay, fine, you're going down. Here, I thought you could be a nice eye candy for the camera, but no, you're fussy as ever. Corgis. Ugh. Now that I'm a wiggling dog in my lap trying to distract me. What was I saying? Yes. But yeah, Denji, throughout a lot of the first season of the show and earlier on in the story, which I'm not going to go into for spoilers reasons, is overall this character that's this mix of someone who's exploring life for the first time, which just frankly makes him like the perfect kind of archetype, or really inspiration for a new player to fall back onto if they're looking to get into this hobby, to get into whether it be Dungeons and Dragons or some other tabletop RPG. And what's more is that because of his powers, he's also easily makes the perfect foundation for quite a unique barbarian. But I think it's enough intro. Let's get into the actual character sheet, and I'll show you what I mean. Now, if this is your first time tuning in or checking out this channel, this show for the first time, a few rules I like to kind of follow with all of my characters I help build. Number one, as little to no homebrewing as possible. Ideally, I want to go and give you all something that you can pick up and know it's been somewhat play tested. Two, try to get as few as extra books to make it possible. I don't want to go and break the bank, especially if you're new to this whole thing. And even if you are and you don't have some of the things I offer, or at least suggest here, ask your fellow players, ask your DM. I would guarantee they probably have something on the side that can help you get started. And last but most importantly, we want to make sure that whatever you do end up making, it's something that you can build off of into your own. Because when it comes to anything we do nowadays, it's not, especially creatively, in a story-based kind of zone, it's important to point out that, truthfully, there are no unique ideas anymore. There are, however, unique takes on them. So while you may give a bit of, an eyebrow or two for making your character based on a popular, anime hero, well, it's okay. It's all right. I mean, Batman was based on Zorro, so who knows? Maybe your chainsaw-like barbarian would be the next hero that takes the world by storm. So, no wrong choices for the most part. And that's a sticky gray area. I don't want to get too much into that. But more importantly, I'm going to be using the website today, Roll20. It's a virtual tabletop site. No, they do not, as some of my viewers like to often joke, not back me or sponsor me in any way, though that'd be really nice because, I do this for free right now, and I would like to eat, food once in a while. Okay. But you can really use any other kind of virtual tabletop service out there, or just go with the classic pencil, pen, paper. But first and foremost, let's go get a character sheet up. Now, one of the reasons why I adore this lovely site is the fact that it has something called a Charactermancer. Basically, it's kind of like a character creation service that you might see in any kind of video game or on, I don't know, D&D Beyond. Hell yeah, well, food does rule. Nice to see you, N King. Oh, I guess it got you on your lunch break. Well, welcome. We just started with the creation process. Zoop. All right. So, with this lovely bloke, we need a good name worthy of Denji. Well, seeing as he's kind of like a dog in the show, in his interests, his hopes, his dreams, as he kind of slowly learns to become more of a man, I guess. Let's call our, bloke the Spot. That's nice, simple dog-like name. And well, Spot, worry about the other stuff, other details later, because frankly, that's up to you. I thought you want to make this up. What I'm looking for is this Charactermancer. Boom. All right, which hopefully will come up. There we go. So, first things first. With any good character, especially in D&D, any player worth their salt, any DM worth their salt, should make a point of telling you that it comes to barbarians. You have a lot of good choices that you should go with that aren't necessarily human. I know Denji is a common guy, and nothing wrong with going with the human. But if you happen to have a book by the name of Xanthar's Guide to Everything, no, not that one. No, it's Volo's Guide to Monsters. There is a nice selection of races you can play as that will give you a bit of an edge if you're looking for more of a hardy barbarian, which commonly are think more so as like berserkers of the party. They're meant to get angry, to take a lot of blows. They're kind of like, the scary tanks, which is, I think, perfect for our old Denji boy. However, I thought it'd be more true to the original character. I'm gonna go with human. Humans are nice in many ways. They can be in alignment. They also get more freedom with their ability score adjustments. And frankly, I should bring up, if you don't like any of the ability scores now, there are resources out there in the book Tasha's Guide, Cauldron of Everything. A lot of everything books here. There is rules in there to kind of really mess around and play with the stat distribution than ever before. So you're not limited to too much nowadays. Let's see, I am the king you right in. His name is Spot, but he might leave splatters. Okay, some people criticize barbarians for a lack of variety, but there's one of my favorite classes, bar none. Same. One of my favorite NPCs, TikTok, which I'd love to go and talk about someday on this show, is arguably one of my favorite characters to roleplay in a lot of my games. But we're not here to talk about them. We're here to talk about Denji, who I would say is very much chaotic good. Particularly if we're making a character like him, kind of go for that, and that he does try to do good things for his friends, at least people that are nice to him. Admittedly, not for like altruistic reasons. And that's fine, because you want that chaos. You want a little bit of slight madness with a character like Denji. Creature type humanoid, that's comes standard with the race, medium, speed 30, languages. Okay, now Denji isn't exactly a bright man, nor should your barbarian. So I guess roleplay wise, when it comes to choosing the languages you might have to go with, I would advise picking something that, you do have common. You can double down and say common again, just to kind of demonstrate just how empty and the noggin lack of book smarts. I shouldn't mention that. Denji is not dumb, but he's also not a bright man, not by a long shot. But for this case, I think to kind of embrace the fact that Chainsaw Man is, part fiend. I think going with infernal or really, not umbral, primordial, pick something that kind of gives you a little bit of that demonic, devilish touch. Actually, it should be worth mentioning that a nice alternative race you could go with for this would be the a tiefling. But if we're going to pair this off with Torque, the power-inspired character we made last time on the show, who was a tiefling, I'd say with this, go with the human. Go with the human. We'll make up for your lack of totally demonic things in a hot second here. But I'm going to go for extra language. Probably, Infernal. I like Infernal. Subrace, standard human. Most of those things you'll end up having to do in character creation will do it for you. We'll give you all the details you need just from the player's handbook to make this nice and easy. Okay, class. Well, obviously we go with Barbarian. Weapon proficiencies, single weapons, martial. Basically, if it's big, pointy, and simple enough to swing, this is your jam. Totally your jam. Armor proficiencies, light armor, medium armor, shields. Frankly, most barbarians are designed to not wear armor, so really don't worry too much about this. In fact, some of them actually, you want them to get hit because it helps keep your rage meter up, and that's a very important skill that we'll talk about more in a second. Jason Man just does whatever, revs his engine. Damn straight. Skill proficiencies. Intimidation, honestly, because the barbarian subclass we're going to be choosing today, I am torn between a few, but the one I really keep coming drawn to is actually the totem, the totem barbarian, which commonly has you choose some kind of like animal to be tied to, that when you go into your rage and go onto the battle and fight, usually allows you to like spawn or create different kinds of animal, like claws, tails, that sort of thing, to augment your physical abilities and appearance. Well, and I should say, if you're going to do this, make sure to talk to your DM first to get the okay, because frankly, more often than not, they'll probably say yes, rather than sprint them out in the middle of the game. But we're going to use the totem subclass as kind of like a basis to allow you to make your barbarian transform into whatever weapon or item you want them to be tied with. Like, you can make a hammer man with like MC Hammer Pants or whatever. I'm getting ahead of myself again. I've had like 2 weeks to think about this. It's really been on my mind all this time. Let's see. But yes, proficiencies. Intimidation would be really big for barbarians because Denji doesn't really have a whole lot of like charisma in terms of like getting what he wants, because most people kind of trick him into deals. However, when he does get people to do things, it's typically by shouting at them in full chainsaw mode. Let's see, but otherwise, probably survival. The guy, the character, he has spent a lot of time on his own, basically next to nothing. Almost at times surviving nothing but a slice of bread for days. So similarly, your character should be one of those two. NK, I get them confused. Either totem or beast. I'll have to double check there. Thank you for pointing it out there, and we'll check the fine print in a hot second. Survival. Yes, but survival though, because like in the show, Denji gets sliced up, diced up more times than not, and similarly, you kind of want to have that carry over to your own character, to be someone who can go and pull some batshit things out of your ass to help survive some wild situations. Because it should take a lot to get you down, and that survival will help you kind of like replay that a bit more. Like, just think about it. You're all stuck in the woods, and everyone trying to figure out what to do, how to eat. And sure, you might have a ranger or a druid to kind of like, oh yeah, here's some food. Well, meanwhile, your guy's like, well, I'm going to use my survival, can roll survival to see if there's any decent bark I can just chomp on, an acorn. Yeah, doesn't have to be tasty, but if it's nutritious in some way. You see what I'm saying? That kind of like rough and tumbley stuff will be nice. Let's see. Yeah. Zealot was another one I was thinking about there too, Reagan. Also, welcome. Glad you can make it. I always worry if you guys are able to make these earlier in the day shows. Especially with having to go in with the weather storm on Thursday, bring this to today. So I'm glad all the regulars out there can at least hang out. It's good to see you all. It's good to see you. Okay, so before I go on, I do want to take a moment to, for anyone watching this for the first time, kind of give a quick look at the Rage ability. Because it's worth, mentioning once in a while, even if I know most people who watch me have done this time and time again. Regardless, Rage. In battle, you fight with primal ferocity on your turn. You can enter a Rage as a bonus action. If you're not sure what the action economy is like in D&D, I would highly recommend finding a Let's Play out there or something like that. It's really easy to grasp, but basically every turn you get one action, one bonus action, as well as your movement. While raging, you get the following benefits if you aren't wearing heavy armor. You have advantage on strength checks, strength saving throws, which basically allows you to do more amazing feats of strength without being bogged down by heavy crap. When you make a weapon attack using strength, you gain a bonus to the damage roll that increases as you gain levels as a barbarian. Essentially, the more pissed off you are, the harder your shit will hit and just wreck things around you, which is fairly good to do when you're trying to be a ferocious barbarian man. Furthermore, you have resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing. That's how the game makes up for the fact you have a lack of armor. So, and also, if you think about it, gives the DM plenty of leeway as you're taking cuts everywhere. Just, get pretty visceral with how beat up you are, which can be kind of fun, especially if you think, I go and summon my totem bear claw saws to go charging in, and they end the fight just covered head to toe with cuts. That you could be like lost a pint of blood, but your character with this mechanic won't notice it, man. You'll be like, what? Oh yeah, just a paper cut. Yeah, see, never look down on what flavoring can do to really bring your character, your inspiration to life in your games. Furthermore, while you can cast spells, Denji doesn't really go and toss spells around the first season, who we're basing on, once again, this whole thing with. More importantly, you have to go and let's see here. Yes. Your rage lasts for 1 minute, which doesn't sound like a lot, but in game can last a long ass time. Don't worry about that. More importantly, where is the detail? Yes, right there. Your rage has to basically will only last for as long as you're unconscious and are attacking or being attacked, which, if you've ever seen the show, is maybe doing a lot of, which would be very easy to roleplay and frankly kind of a lot of fun, especially if you manage to go and find some decent ways to taunt your foes, to bonk you in the head. Good stuff. Let's see. You can be the character that leaps down an elevator shaft into Gibrine mouth. Yeah, this is true. With this kind of ability, this is like your bread and butter that an entire class is built around. That you can, jump down almost to a spike pit and wreck shit up and come out alive and nice and dandy. A lot of potential, a lot of good stuff can come from this. So, barbarians are fun and fun to roleplay. Yeah. Let's see here. Unarmored defense. While you're not wearing any armor, your armor class equals 10 plus your dexterity modifier and your constitution modifier. Now, Denji, he kind of a speedy, dexterous, constitutional boy, yeah. So your character should be as similarly in that same avenue. Speaking of which, because we'll worry about gathering our equipment later. Boop. let's go look at the ability scoring method here. Now, I like to usually roll for stats, but in the case that your, GM, DM doesn't, let's go and take a look at the standard right to give us a nice, baseline of how I would recommend laying this stuff out. Now, the biggest things you'll need with any barbarian, regardless of trying to make Denji, are going to be strength and constitution. Strength basically helps you with your as I mentioned before, your attack, your punching, and your constitution is what you'll need to really kind of keep yourself from taking blows. So basically your attack and defense. Now, personally, I'm going to bring this back up so you can be more in the center there. Cool. Personally, I would go right off the bat and make sure strength is the highest, because you want to go and do a lot of crazy damage here. And also, is worth mentioning that because you went with human, you already get an automatic point in all of your stats, which are nice and handy. Keeps you nice, well rounded, and this with something while you go and play around with everything else. But let's see here. Constitution, yeah, right off the bat, want to make that 14 to really kind of give you that boost you'll need to take the blows as a barbarian. Followed up by, I would personally say, dexterity at 13 to just add to the constitution, add to the acrobatical nonsense. Because how to explain this? There are points in the show that Denji is nothing but a pair of legs and a saw on his head. He can grow his arms back, don't worry. Don't think too hard into it. But there's points in the show where he's essentially running up a monster's arm, revving his head into some beast like it's no problem. It is not just parkouring, it's almost like monster coring, if that's really a term. Let's see here, though. From there, I would probably go and make charisma your fourth next highest stat, to really go and give you a few more points to play with to go and intimidate things, or try to get people to sway your way, leaving intelligence and wisdom as your last stats. Now, I have mentioned that Denji is not a smart man, so naturally that should be your lowest stat of the whole lot, and frankly that tracks when it comes to barbarians. Intelligence is typically the lowest of any build for them, leaving wisdom at 10. So that's good, because wisdom then will be helpful, I believe, with survival. But we'll see how that all works out when we get to see the final sheet in a few minutes. Moving right along. Background. Urchin. Considering just the place Denji came from, he was poor, living in a shack somewhere in the woods with barely a thing you call a bed. This isn't related to Denji, but I enjoy having high dex as a barb and having a backup bow just in case. I suppose. Yeah, that's true. Dexterity is useful for long-range attacks. Which I'm not really sure how do you really bring that around to match the show. But then again, maybe that's where your own roleplay kind of goes and spice things up to make your chainsaw barbarian your own kind of thing, your own play style. Well, let's see. Background for any kind of character build is kind of interesting, because on paper you'd think background would be almost the most inconsequential thing, because most people, when they choose their backgrounds, they already have something else in mind. They're going to write up their own thing. But in D&D, there is a lot of various bonuses that you can get if you choose the right one. So it's kind of important. Like, I bring that up because I figured, that Denji is essentially an urchin. He comes from really nothing, that I would try to go and choose that. But looking at this loadout, we have things like sleight of hand, stealth, disguise, get thieves tools. This is something, I would say better for a rogue, which is a shame. However, let's see what else we got here. Outlander, maybe. Athletic, survival, wander, evokes memory from maps and geography. Nah. Let's see. Criminal, perhaps? He does. Criminal, though, has some of the more stuff that you get for rogues. Doesn't really, make things better. Gladiator may be, considering how much he was kind of like played around with and messed with by the Yakuza before the series started. Let's see. This is where I should get more thought. Pirate? No. I'm trying to find something that kind of matches like his kind of criminal background, but not really. Smuggler. No. Charlatan. No. Hermit. I mean, he did kind of live by himself, but not like, well, that. Haunted one. But from this, Haunted one though could be good, but that you need to have the Curse of Strahd module to we can properly use. Speaking a lot of truth regarding backgrounds, yeah. You can always go with custom and make your own, but I think for the sake of time, I'm gonna go with. Let's see, what kind of skills would you gain? Let's do that and just. And for the sake of time, let's see. Nope, not night. Anything he is almost. I'm gonna go with not entertainers. That's just right. Go with custom. Yeah. You know what? We're gonna do with. Let's go make our own background for once. Why not? Why not? Background name. I'm gonna call this one the handyman, because that's what he was to the Yakuza. He was a handyman. Proficiencies type. Let's see. He probably let's go with more skills from his time. Basically cutting wood and all that. Because during his time before he became the Chainsaw Man, Denji, he was a monster hunter. He was a lumberjack. He, sold pieces himself. So he would then, in that case, with his handyman status, would have, based on that, I think some kind of like nature background. And let's see, I give another in there. I want to say he doesn't really need weapons. Let's go with there's a skill, because a lot of his weapons come from the background of him being fused with something. But let's go with animal handling, because Denji's kind of good with animals. Now, because he doesn't technically have a dog. That is the chainsaw devil that does fuse with him. It's anime. Watch the show to get more details. It's way too much explaining this little short stream. Can't lead to conflict. Yeah. So let's see. Personality traits. Okay. So from here, there's a few things I want to bring up. Especially if you can make your custom one. There is more guys to this in the player's handbook and other various resources you can use. But the key thing you will have to be ready for is that to get to the powers, to get to the subclass that I want to suggest today, to really kind of bring your Chainsaw Man to life, you will need to, gain a few levels to get there. Which means, and once again, talk to your DMs and make sure you get the okay for this. You definitely get to play as Denji before he gets his demonic abilities, which allows you time in game to roleplay up to it, and allows your DM to also find some creative way for them to tie in why your barbarian has these powers, which could be a fun story building thing you can do with your friends, because it doesn't have to be just between you and the DM. It can be between you and all your buddies to make this happen, unless you want to make it a big reveal. But bottom line, this gives you so many possibilities, unless you start at level 3. But either way, I've actually played and run many games with people playing as characters based on pop culture heroes, and frankly we've gone and taken those inspirations and made it their own in the long run. So don't worry if it gets a little bit on the nose. I think if your friends who do get it will enjoy it. Those that don't will come to appreciate it in time. So embrace getting your character from level 1 to level 3 and showcasing how you get fused with some demon to become, I don't know, Spatula Man. Not sure what that was for. So I wanted to bring that up because when it comes to the rest of these things, it doesn't really give us much to fill in because it's really dependent on how you want to build your backstory up. Because personality traits, ideal, bond, flaw, those are all dependent on your own background. But the key things to keep in mind, though, for this stuff would be, personality traits. That's basically tips for you to help, feed your actual roleplay of them in game. Ideal is what, essentially is like the core aspect that would get you to do some wild stuff. Like in this case, if I was gonna make something, choose like an ideal of Denji, so it would be to frankly live, laugh, and fight, and do some things that are certainly more PG-13. I don't feel comfortable typing in my stream right now. Let's say he's kind of a horny boy. Yeah, I'm gonna say ideal for this would be get some. Just leave it at that. Leave it ambiguous. Bonds really would be something you want to put it. Bond is basically what would feed. That would kind of draw your character to stand beside someone to do something that your character would not. So, in this case, Denji often is stand by his friends because, he wants to protect the life he has, and he wants to protect a few of the people around him because he kind of cares a little bit, not so much. But still, it's the bond is really, if ideal is what kind of draws you to do the. If your ideal is what you're striving for, bonds are what encourages you to do stuff you're not out for. To sum it up in a brief, 5 minutes. And flaw, it says what it is on the tin. Choose something that really would, give yourself interesting, setback. Now, flaw isn't something... flaw either way should be something that makes your character more realistic, more human, more relatable. Like in Denji's case is that he comes from a very poor background. He is a poor man. He has next to no money, and which often makes him be a bit outspoken in his beliefs. He's doesn't have a filter at all, which gets him into a lot of trouble. Get Some makes me think of Ash from Army of Darkness, which is always a good thing. Oh yeah. Gotta love Ash Williams from the Evil Dead franchise, which I believe is actually one of the main inspirations for Chainsaw Man. Yeah, the creator loves his pop culture stuff. He loves all his references, which I admire, considering that's what I do on this channel. Anyway, let's move on. Okay, how would you like to choose your equipment? Frankly, don't ever go and do starting wealth. That is a nightmare. I don't know anyone who's ever done starting wealth. If you do, power to you. But we're not insane here today. Okay, martial weapon. Frankly, I would go with, a great axe. Denji uses an axe in the show. If you want to be as close to the original as possible, you gotta go with what Denji Dog, D-Dog, is choosing. Let's see. Another weapon. Probably a hand axe. Hand axes are kind of nice because they tend... you get hand axes as one of your options as a barbarian. Hand axes are basically the barbarian's go-to range weapon. Just, don't forget to pick it up after you're done. Don't get any handy equipment for the background because you kind of made one up. Denji's too dumb for spells. No kind of other feats. Spot, I should say, not Denji. Spot. Age, we'll say, early 20s. It's about the range you're kind of looking for a character like this. I can't spell to save my life. Height, average. Weight, very lean build. He has no Spot, like Denji, has no fat in him. Though he does have some muscles. So lean build. Eyes, tired, really. I mean, colors don't really matter. Hair, messy. Pick whatever hair color you want. It's up to you. Skin, it's again up to you. Play the character that you see on the table. Yeah. Skin, yes. I think that's it for most of this stuff. Okay, cool. Let's see how these things rolled out. Okay, armor class 10. I'm okay. Okay, that's a bit lower than expected, but I think I know why. Let's see here. There's comments here. Hard axes are cool, and it's also can be a nice tool. This is true. Axes can be used technically as hammers if you use the backside, and well, for slicing bread. Anyway, one thing that often happens with like a system like Roll20 is that it auto equips stuff on you. So I just need to go here and find. Nope, I don't have any armor just yet. Okay. Seems awfully low for a barbarian at armor class of 10. Let me see on armor defense. Okay, 10 dexterity. Okay, I suppose that's makes some sense. Okay, dexterity and con are 2 and 2 for a hardy dexterity. Yeah, actually no, this should be 14 compared to that. Yeah, this should be a bit higher than that. I knew I wasn't insane. So let's see, why is it doing that? Well, I can just go and type it myself. Ha. Scoot. Okay. Okay. Alrighty. Cool. It is strange. Anyway, so 14 armor class is actually really damn high for a starting level 1 character, because most things try to, at best, put it this way, most of your friends, most of your allies will have ACs closer to 10, unlike you. Like, considering how most of the monsters you're fighting won't have much modifiers to them, this basically means that you'll have like a 75% chance to avoid most damage for a while there in the starting moments of this game, which is wild. Okay, but let's see, how does it roll? How does it attack? Let's take a look-see at that. Now, whenever it comes to playing as a barbarian, make sure you are going to attack, that you are raging for the nice little extra damage bonus. And let's go and swing that great axe around to see. Okay, 19, that's really heckin' good, almost nat 20. But 6 damage. Okay, 9 damage, which, how to put this, may just be more HP than most monsters at level 1. And this is well before you even go and like get extra levels, which over time barbarians can get the ability to attack twice on their same turn. Yeah. Fun stuff. Fun stuff. But let's go and get to that point when I said you would be going to play as a character that would become some fused devil superpowered character, which we're going to go and flavor with use of the what's called the subclasses, which you typically get to around to its most meteor section at like level 5. So we're going to go and level up spot here at level 5. So boop 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 boop. Nope, let's make that level 4. So 4 more levels. Okay, primal path. So these are the paths we were talking about earlier. Like, so we have Path of the Zealot, Totem, and quite a few beasts. Now, I was thinking of the beast earlier, which you get from Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, which just came out recently. It's easy to grab and is a fun one. That's the one that whenever you rage, it gives you the ability to go and like transform parts of you to, have like normally like bear claws, just out of animal claws, which I would, if I was your DM, say, we'll say that, yeah, your hands changed to whatever, demonic thing you are now fused with. Like, immediately takes you out of the gate to have something that allows you to be powerful, but also to keep you in line, keep you balanced with the rest of your fellow players, which is what we want. Because the more in line with what Wizards of the Coast has put out for the game, the more easy it will be to kind of sell it to your friends. This is speaking as someone who's had some players do some wild stuff just by playing around with the syntax of certain things before. But I also mentioned Totem Warrior, and I know I want to say it for a big reason, because let's see, I'm gonna get my memory up here. Yeah, Totem Warriors essentially give you more of like a primal effect. That, how to say this? If Path of the Beast was meant to give you kind of more like damage buffs, Path of the Totem Warrior is more so give the buffs to you and all of your friends, which can be really handy in terms of combat or just kind of any battle situation, which frankly both paths would work depending on the demon you want to go and partner up with or fuse with. Because in the world of the Chainsaw Man, all the demons, all the devils are based on some kind of human fear. So, and depending on how much people fear that one thing, the more powerful they are. Well, some of those demons or devils are based on things that don't really have a physical embodiment, like the fear of infinity, of nothingness, of death. Well, that's, if you're looking to, be some barbarian that uses those kind of have that been in your background, that's where I go and choose one of the Totem Warrior stuff. It tries to find one that's most in line with whatever devil you are working with, because there is a good number of things you can play with. Here, let me show you. For instance, let me go get to the actual abilities for them. Okay, yeah, get reckless attack, yada yada yada. Can you just please get to the Totem Warrior? Thank you. I'm trying to read the details up so I can read it off word for word, because I don't want to get the details wrong on it again. Hold on. Fine, let's go over here. Here we go. Let me show ya. Boop. And hopefully it'll load at a reasonable time. And that's exactly my point, N King. D&D's weakness and strength is that you can do some doodly stuff. Yeah, there's a lot of wiggle room if you take the time to read through and play around a little bit. Okay, I can't find what I was looking for, but I have seen Totem Warriors use abilities that allow them to like give a defense buff to their fellow friends. That if I was getting off the top of my head say, oh yes, I am Poltergeist Man. I have been the Poltergeist spirit, and the Poltergeist devil and I become one. And whenever I do my rage and press on my totem, the ghosts of the damned come out and protect you all in the field of battle. See? Easy to do. For the case of this, though, I do want to go and assume that you would be making something that would be based on a weapon. So maybe you're making a, I don't know, Katana Man. That's, yes, it's a character in the show, but you can still go with that's more fantasy-like. You could go with, Scythe Man, Hammer Man, Spike Man. I feel like I'm listing off a series of villains from Mega Man, honestly. My point still stands. If you're looking to make something as close to Denji as possible, you'd probably be wanting to go with the Path of the Beast, personally speaking. So let's go take a look at that and how that plays out. Path of the Beast, Barbarian. Now, a few things you'll get, and I think this goes with most barbarians, so don't worry if you're missing out on anything you see here. One, Reckless Attack. Reckless Attack basically allows you to hit extra hard, on your foes with the chance of, dealing some serious critical damage, but with a disadvantage that your foes can do it to you, next round. Danger sense. You get the uncanny sense of when things nearby aren't what they should be, giving you an edge when you dodge away from danger. You have advantage on dexterity saving throws against effects that you can see, such as traps and spells. To gain this benefit, you can be blinded, deafened, and incapacitated. So basically, it gives you kind of like a spidey sense, which I can see most devils having some kind of aspect of in-game. Primal knowledge. This is where the whole devil background getting built up to this point would be really handy for you. In this case, when you reach 3rd level and again at 10th level, you gain proficiency in one skill of your choice from the list of skills available to the barbarian at 1st level. Now, which means we have between athletics and perception. Now, if you're going to use really play it up as a story, major part of the story, that you gain all this power from the devil inside of you, athletics would be the one you have to go with to really kind of show your new physical prowess. And then here we are. Here's the big bread and butter form of the beast of this whole build. Now listen to this. Let me break this down here. Okay. When you enter your rage, you can transform, revealing the bestial power within you. Until the rage ends, you manifest a natural weapon. It counts as a simple melee weapon for you, and you add your strength modifier to the attack and damage rolls when you attack with it as normal. You choose the weapon's form each time you rage. Bite. Your mouth transforms into a bestial muzzle or great mandibles, your choice. It deals 1d8 piercing damage on a hit. Once on each of your turns, which you damage a creature with this bite, you gain a number of hit points equal to your proficiency bonus. Basically, you gain some devil jaws that give you life back. Isn't that awesome? Claws. Each of your hands transform into a claw, which can be used as a weapon if it's empty. It deals 1d slashing damage on a hit. Once on each of your turns, when you attack with a claw using the attack action, you can make an additional claw attack as part of the same action. So, effectively, if you're going to go and use your attack action, which remember, you get only one of each turn. If you say use your attack action to attack with something, you could say you could take your attack action, which allows you to attack, twice. Based on these rules, at least how I've rolled in the past, it allows you to use a part of your attack to hit with your axe, and maybe get one hearty blow in there, and then the second part of your attack action, you hit with that claw. It allows you to then use it again because you used it once on your attack action, effectively allowing you potentially to get like 3 hits on an enemy during one turn. So it can add up real fast. Now, it does say you can use it to do that once a turn, so you can't go like claw, 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 because that'd be kind of overpowered. But needless to say, that allows you to really have some fun, to deal a lot of damage, to go wild like Denji on your foes. And last but not least is tail. You grow a lashing spiny tail, which deals 1d8 piercing damage on a hit and has the reach property. So basically you can use this kind of like a long range kind of dealio. If a creature you can see within 10 feet of you hits with you an attack roll, you can use your reaction to swipe away your tail and roll with d8, applying a bonus to your AC. So effectively, you would be getting with this the ability, because you might remember you can only choose one of these when you rage, but it still gives you a chance to go in with a possible benefit to give you more health, to attack more, or to beef up your defense, which are like 3 of the biggest things that barbarians need at any fight. But more importantly, it allows you to really pick and choose. It gives you a versatile toolkit to almost hop into any fight ready to go after whatever comes your way. It's nice, it's handy, trust me, you're gonna love it. And Denji would approve. But more importantly, I hope you noticed that in all of that description, that yes, it mentioned mostly like animal details, but all that stuff arguably could apply to most devils. So yeah, it's not too much of a stretch to use this to create your own chainsaw characters, heroes. Yeah, huh? Sorry, I'm getting excited about this. Yeah, I know we're talking about Chainsaw Man, but the claws always made me think of this as the Wolverine class. Yeah, that's a good way to look at it too. This, whole thing allowed you to definitely place almost any mutant if you want to go as an X-Man. Maybe, well, as you said, Wolverine. I love that. And there's your attack, extra attack, and fast movement. So not only your attack, he can attack more, but he's a speedy little devil. Love it. Okay. Point increase. You get to increase your abilities by 1, or 2 abilities by 2. Or 2 by 1, or 1 by 2. Now, I frankly think having your defense at 14 is not that bad. You frankly you're gonna be taking a lot of hits, and not to mention most of the hits could be at half damage, so that's kind of fine. And yeah, I think more strength, more smash, more death is what I want to see. It's what you should want to see too, quite honestly. No spells, cool. Let's see what this character would be at level 5. And granted, this is not counting all the possible extra beneficial items or feats you may get just from playing the game, which may happen, especially if you're dungeon diving with any kind of party. But once again, maybe armor class 14 when it really should be 14. Boop. So let's see. Okay, let's go take a look at that great axe attack from before. So we'll say that once again we're raging and great axe attack. Boop. Okay, we'll say for argument's sake that a 10 hits, but still, +7 modifier is insane. Okay. So, I mean, with the +7 modifier, it pretty much means that you should be hitting at least half the time on most things at level 5, unless you have really high AC. But that's what you have spellcasters for. Yeah, you're mostly there as a barbarian to kind of hit all the squishies on the side, and to make sure the battlefield's clear for those big omega death spells. Okay. But the first attack you saw is 16 plus 2 for a total of 18 damage. Now let's say this was just going to be just your great axes, then that would be like another axe attack as well. Boop. Once again, let's see that hits. Okay, so theoretically this one turn I could have dealt a total of 2, so 18. Okay, 26 damage on just by turn alone, which can be quite a bit. But let's go take a look at the claw attack, which this sheet doesn't have listed on there. You can easily add attacks on Roll20. A lot of tutorials out there. Your best bet is to look that up. I'm not going to take the time to explain it here. But you also can have it on your sheet as well. And be worth, adding in there, making things quicker. But Form of the Beast, let's say for funsies, that, okay, we did the Great Axe attack, got the 18 damage. But let's say you also did claws, and means, okay, deals 1d6 slashing damage on a hit. And we use, I believe, your strength modifier to attack and damage rolls when you attack with it as normal. So strength is 4 plus proficiency is 3, so it's a good +7 to the attack itself. So let's do a nice straight strength. Okay, so that's technically 19 with all the modifiers there, which still hits. Okay, so okay, rate of damage is +2. Cool. I think that rolling damage should actually be a bit more there. I'm gonna double check the. Yeah, the thing with Roll20, it's kind of like a rusty Chevrolet. It's dependable but not perfect. Okay. So I want to say you should get a bit of a damage boost there. Even throws, you get melee up attack, you gain a bonus to damage roll attack. Okay, so it is just 2. Never mind, I always thought it was rolling. Ignore what I said. So, but to get back to totaling out the rest of this damage, we'll say that the claw attack hits, so 1d6. We'll say for the sake of time, it hits twice, so boop, boop. Okay, so that's a total of 4. 7, 11 for a grand total of 29 damage, which I know is not too much different compared to using the great axes and all that. But here's the thing. That's worth bringing up. That you could do technically the same level of damage using the great axe twice, but the thing is in D&D is the more chances you have to attack roll gives you more opportunities to get like nat 20s to do some real big damage. And frankly, who knows? You might always not have the great axe, so it's kind of nice and handy to have the option to, be able to kind of summon claws at a moment's notice. And frankly, all of this can be spiced up in other ways. But what if you're not using D&D? Now, I know last week I brought up that you could use a certain... how did I put this? When we talked about power last time on the show, I mentioned how you can easily play... I see you're playing as her in a game like Masks, A New Generation, which is more of like a My Hero Academia kind of game. Because there's, plenty of like archetypes that you can see playing up the whole fiendish anti-villain background that Powers is from. And frankly, I could see the same thing being done with Denji here in the same line. In fact, a lot of, I want to say, shoujo, kind of like anime or manga stories would fit pretty well into Masks: A New Generation. Now, additionally, though, this week I would say, especially with Denji, some of the stuff he sees and ends up, confronting, I could kind of see you maybe building a character like him in a game like, well, Call of Cthulhu. Now, hear me out. Call of Cthulhu, I know, is more of a Lovecraftian horror kind of thing, and doesn't really, allow for much barbarian-esque kind of builds. But where it does allow is the opportunity to go and make packs and have that kind of confrontations with the monsters and baddies that you would see in Chainsaw Man. Now, here's the catch with that, though. Like, the whole point of Chainsaw Man is frankly to see a lot of like action type heroes tackling these giant, powerful oddities. Yeah. Which, is more inclined for a world like D&D. However, with it being more of a fantasy realm, doesn't give you a lot of that modern day aspect. Now, Call of Cthulhu would. It would allow you to kind of have the opportunity for card chases, for more moments of horror, because it's clearly better suited for that. And it does have, with all of its various mechanics and dealing and diving in with insanity and just dealing with horrors beyond imagination, that it could easily allow you to have, well, if you've seen the show and saw the whole story arc with the Infinity Hotel, you know what I'm getting at, that sometimes it's kind of important to have your fellow fighters go mad. But what I like it, though, about it is it definitely allows you to play up how that, for all intents and purposes, Chainsaw Man, with all of its action, all of its wild fight scenes, is also kind of a tragic horror story in many ways as well. Let me go into details here, but those kind of elements I could see be more played up more proficiently in Call of Cthulhu. And there are plenty of builds over there that I could see you making use of to kind of give your little monster hunter, your boogeyman, your Men in Black kind of team a place to really explore those themes and to really live them out. And yeah, go to town with them. Let's see here. This is true. Yeah. I'm catching up here. Okay, thanks for bringing up that your claws do become magical at a certain level, which would be handy if you're trying to deal damage against something that can only be hurt by magical things. Interesting thing about Call of Cthulhu, there is a related game called Delta Green where you play soldiers who fight but you're still in danger. Okay, looking at it at some point. Well, there's a recommendation right there you could look into. What was I gonna say? Oh, yeah. But if you set aside game mechanics and character builds and just systems altogether, the question still remains of like how to play as Denji, how to play as Spot, how to play as someone who came from nothing, had nothing really left to give, and suddenly had the power to not only make something of themselves, but make the world a better place. Now, how do you play that up? How do you go and showcase that? Well, unfortunately, with how I go with what I suggested here today, you can do that from level 1 to level 3 when you are just a nobody. You can even say, yeah, I work for the local mob, I'm here to go and fight monsters, and then have your character tragically die as you turn level 3 is to kind of symbolize you gaining your pact, your devil powers, which allows you from like that point on with your character experience what it's like, hey, wait, I actually have something like hope. I mean, so many of us take that for granted, to have hope about something. That having hope can mean so much to some people in this world. And getting a chance to roleplay, to get a chance to play as someone who wouldn't even consider worthy, let alone, not even worthy, let alone able to go and like date someone, to go and actually have good food, to go and slowly like let me go back to my initial analogy that Denji is a dog. If you ever seen the videos of dogs who come from abused households, finding or getting found by some kind of pound, some kind of animal shelter, getting raised back to health, getting, rebuilding all the trust that was taken away from them, seeing them go with their adopted family and becoming, after who knows how many years in despair, living the life to the fullest with a big happy grin. That's the character arc you get to experience and should bring out as you play as your Denji inspired hero, which can make for a really endearing role-playing experience, because while everyone sees outside the show the grotesque, monstrous hero that Denji can become with all of his chainsaws, that beneath this mad monster looking thing, lies someone who just wants to finally enjoy life. And there's just something kind of beautiful about this, something kind of poetic to watch, 1 second go and laugh maniacally as you go and tear your foes limb from limb around your best friends and party members, to spending the next talking about like how excited you are to finally try, I don't know, a nice tasty apple for the first time. Think about that. Does that make at least somewhat excited? No, it does for me. Well, that's really all I have to say about Denji here today, which is fine. I wanted to keep this one short and sweet, and yeah, I think that's good. That's good. Now, time for announcements before I let you all go. And yes, actually, one last note here from the End King. The dog metaphor really fits because a dog can be a merciless killer and then immediately go back to being an innocent child. Exactly, End King. Exactly. That's what I'm getting at. That's what you need to strive for in your roleplay. But as for us, a few things. Tomorrow, we're going to have my regular planned gaming stream of haunted hangouts. I'm going to be trying out a game suggested by you, old EK. I looked it up. Night Shift is a different game. I think the game you were talking about is The Convenience Store, which I never played about and never played. Haven't watched any Let's Plays. I don't know anything about it other than it's a horror game based on someone working a night shift at a convenience store, and I'm here for it. I'm gonna go into that blind tomorrow. It should be fun. Secondly, I am still debating on what our Thursday stream is going to be on, because I've done a lot of streams as of late. I'm debating, just having only 2 this week. But if I do have a third stream this week, it's either going to be between doing maybe their Hollow Knight. I want to go and try to take out the Mantis Lords. I'll think about it. Got a lot to consider today. But more importantly, I'm happy to finally announce that as of last night, I have finally got the remaining footage for my B-roll for Five Nights at Freddy's Sister Location for my Creature Creator video. So I'm going to be working on that probably right after this video to go and start organizing all the footage, because there is a lot. I have at least a good 8 hours of footage to sort through before I even begin editing. But it's moving right along. I'm excited to get that out for you all. And yeah, that's about it. Let's say this. I am considering next week, I believe, because it's going to be, it'll be the 23rd next week. That'll be next week, Thursday, the 23rd, on having a certain haunted hangout with my better half, Jade Brightwin, the artist. Go check out her stuff. She's a marvelous animator that is about to graduate. I want to see her do well. But she will be joining me to play through a certain remake that's coming out that day of a certain Resident Evil 4, which I'm very excited about. So that should be fun. Let's see, last few notes between here. I realized that a few days later. I'm glad you discovered that. A little embarrassed that I was going so hard for that. Hey, no, it's okay. And EK, this is why I take the time to, research beforehand before I go for barn stuff. I'm glad I got the right thing. Actually, one last announcement that I just did just earlier today, because I believe you, EK, actually wanted to try to get a hold of me on Steam. Now, I usually make it a rule to only really friend people I actually know in person, but I do want to go and start connecting with people on Steam. I like the idea of that. So I did put together a Steam group that I'm going to try to go and organize stuff and talk and hang out with people in the long run. Maybe organize some giant group games or something like that. Thought it'd be a nice way to get around my rule, but also still get to know my community better. So keep an eye out for that. I will probably list that tomorrow when actually on Steam, because I want to focus just on Warrior Workshop today. And yeah, I think that's it. I think that's all I have to announce for now. Whew, that was a bit more than I expected. Okay. Anyway, whether you watch this live or watched it, the recording after the fact, hey, consider liking, subscribing, commenting below on whether future Warriors want me to see Workshop in these streams. I've really been enjoying this as of late. Might do more anime characters. Seems oddly refreshing compared to all the horror focus I've been doing elsewhere on the channel. So I'm gonna think about who I'm gonna do next. But also, if you haven't considered, it would really help if you haven't done it already to kind of share my stuff around. Getting the word out is a great boon to me. So if you can do that, it means the world. But if you can't do any of that, totally fine, totally okay. In my eyes, you are still a wonderful person, beautiful, and I love you either way. Yeah. Yeah, I appreciate that, EK. I always try to be a good host, regardless of whether you're here for the first time, for the last time, or for another great night, It's all about having a good time with all of you out there. And until that day, I hope you have a great week. Hope you have a great rest of your Monday. Get outside, go enjoy the fresh air if it's not raining or whatever. And yeah, I'll see you all later. Toodles.